Hi everyone, my name is Amber, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a review of The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by Schwab. This book comes out in early October and I was given a free review copy by the publisher via NetGalley in exchange for an honest review, so that's my disclaimer. For this review I'm going to be talking about the summary and then do my usual plot, characters, writing style kind of thing. Before I begin, I did want to let you know about some trigger warnings for this book. The ones that really stood out to me were the assault, attempted suicide, depression, and a very, very toxic relationship. There are more, and I would urge you to go and check those out on Goodreads or another website before you read this book, if trigger warnings are important to you. I know some people don't mind. So now onto the summary. This book is about a main character called Addie LaRue, and she was born in the late 1600s. She was supposed to marry a boy from her village when she was 23 years old, but she really didn't want to do that. She wanted more time, and so she made a deal with the devil. In exchange for giving her more time, the devil also made her invisible. She's not literally invisible. What that actually means is that she can talk and interact with people, but as soon as they stop looking at her, they forget who she is and they forget that they ever met her, which I think is actually more hurtful than being just straight up invisible. So the book takes place in flashbacks between these early 1700s and 2014, which is supposed to be like present day. In 2014, there's a man called Henry who can remember Addie, and this is the first time in over 300 years that this has ever happened to her, and she wants to know why. That's all I'm going to say about the summary. I feel like that's a good amount to start off with, and I really don't want to spoil anything. So now let's move on to the plot. I have to say, this book is so slow. It starts off so slowly. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't even know what the plot of the book was supposed to be until about a third of the way through. I'm not a massive fan of V.E. Schwab's books. I do really enjoy most of them, but I wouldn't say I'm like a super fan or anything, and I have noticed that some of her books do start off quite slowly and they sometimes take me a while to get into them. So I wasn't immediately put off because I am kind of used to her writing style by now. She has written so many books and I've read almost all of them, I think, so far. I'm just very familiar with her writing style, and I knew that the book would start to pick up towards the end, and it did pick up, except not to like action thriller kind of levels. It just wasn't as slow as it was in the beginning, which, you know, isn't hard. So I didn't find myself getting bored exactly, but I do think that some people may find this book quite boring if you're not familiar with V.E. Schwab's writing style, or just if you don't like slower burn books, then I think this book probably isn't the one for you. I did really appreciate the time that we took getting to know Addie, because we're following her in both timelines, first in the flashbacks in the 1700s and onwards, and also in present day in 2014. We got to know quite a bit about her character and how she came to be the way that she is in 2014, which, by the way, I'm going to talk about this more in my character section, but it's not really that different to how she was in the 1700s. But anyway, plot-wise, my friend Judith did point out that this book is very similar to The Age of Adeline. If any of you have seen that, it's got Blake Lively and Harrison Ford and someone else in it, but the main two are Blake Lively and Harrison Ford. In that one, Adeline doesn't age, and she gets with Harrison Ford when he is younger, and then she comes across him again later on, and obviously she hasn't aged or anything or changed at all. So this book is very similar to that, and it was very interesting that the names were also quite similar. And then there's the ending of the book, which I just wanted to briefly mention. Although I did find this book to be quite slow at the beginning and then average from then on, I did really enjoy the ending, and that's why I've given it 4 stars, because the ending really bummed it up for me and I did cry. I was lying in bed crying over it because I just got really emotional, and I had apparently gotten very attached to Addie along the way, and I didn't necessarily realise until towards the end. I always really enjoy it when books make me cry because it means that I do have a kind of connection to the book or the characters, so that's normally a sign of a decent book for me. So now moving on to the characters. Like I said, I did take a while to warm up to Addie, but apparently by the end I was really quite connected to her and I felt a lot for her, and I came to care about what happened to her. I really liked the representation in this book. Henry, the main love interest, he identifies as pansexual, I think, although I can't remember if he specifically used that label, but he used the usual description. And then Addie is at least bisexual. I'm not sure how she identifies, if she identifies as anything at all, because again, I'm not sure labels were used, but I know that she has been in relationships with both men and women, so I really enjoyed the representation there. I don't really have much more to say about Addie because I'm gonna be honest, she's not like the most standout exciting character. I'm probably not going to remember much about her other than she was invisible, and I guess that's okay. The character that I'm probably going to remember the most isn't Henry, the love interest. He's alright. Is the Darkness, also called Lucian, or just Luke. He was a very disturbing character, and I didn't like him on a personal level, but he was very interesting to read about. Throughout the book I very much went back and forth between finding him intriguing and just finding him disturbing and wanting him to get out of the book. I did find it very, very difficult to read about his relationship with Addie because it started off as kind of a business relationship. She was using him for something and he kind of messed up the deal that he was making on purpose, because that's what crossroads demons do. If you've seen Supernatural, then you'll know. And then eventually they developed a sort of relationship throughout the centuries, and I just found it very, very disturbing. And it is meant to be disturbing, it's not meant to be like a loving relationship, you're not meant to ship them, but I did find it very difficult to read about because it was abusive and he just made me very, very uncomfortable. And I think if anyone comes out of this book shipping the two of them, then I think you should take a long hard look at yourself. So that's all I've really got to say about the characters. The love interest Henry was kind of boring. I don't really have much to say about him, and again, I'm not going to remember him a few years down the line, other than the fact that he was Addie LaRue's love interest. And then onto the writing. So I think this was actually the biggest letdown of the book. I think this is what bumped this book down to just a 4-star for me. Not that I think that it would necessarily have been 5-star all-time favourite, but it's what's making it kind of sit solidly in the 4-star range, if not almost 3-star. So like I said, it was very, very slow to start with, and I think I saw someone on Goodreads describe the writing as buttery. I would very much agree with that. It's very lyrical and flowery and slow and soft, and it's not really my kind of writing style. And on top of that, the author B. Schwab used exactly the same descriptors for things over and over again. One example that I can think of is that she described things as being trapped in amber, and that stood out to me because obviously that's my name, but it just kept coming up over and over again. I was kind of like, can you not find another way to describe something, because this book's only, I don't know, 400 pages or something, and I really don't think it's good writing to recycle the same lines over and over again. I'm also a little bit confused about the timeline, only slightly, and I think that's to do with the writing style. I'm not going to say anything about it because of spoilers, and also I read it a few weeks ago, so maybe I'm just confused because it's not fresh in my memory, but a couple of the timeline things did confuse me a bit. If you've read the book or are going to read the book, then what I'm talking about is the timeline about World War II or possibly World War I and where Addie was at the time. I've been rubbing my head and you can really tell I'm gonna have to wait for this to calm down before I carry on recording. So all of those things said, I'm only going to give this book 4 stars because it did kind of impact me, but it's not going to be an all-time favourite, and it wasn't incredible by any means. I'm probably going to remember it for a while, but I think it's not going to be one that I recommend to everyone, because I think you have to be in a very particular mood and then have very particular tastes to enjoy this, because it is so slow. And I think a lot of YA readers as well will probably find the plot a little bit dragging. Oh, that's another thing about the writing that I wanted to mention as well before I end this video. Addie kept being referred to as a girl and Henry as a boy. Addie at least was 23. I can't remember how old Henry was supposed to be, but at 23 I felt a little bit uncomfortable with the author keep calling Addie a girl. I feel a bit weird calling someone that age a girl, and also a bit weird about calling them a woman, but that's a whole other topic. I just thought it was a little bit weird because I went into it thinking that she was going to be like an older teen and she was going to stay that age forever, but no, she was 23, and I don't really think that it was appropriate to call her a girl over and over again. So anyway, those are my thoughts on The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Again, I did receive this book in exchange for an honest review. My thoughts on this are entirely honest, in case you're worrying. Thank you for watching this video. Let me know your thoughts on the book in the comments below if you have read it already, or let me know if you're planning on reading it. Please like and subscribe, and I'll be back soon with another video. Bye!